ExamPrep.School. Maine Property Insurance Producer Exam, exam code 12-ME-43. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Insurance terms and related concepts. Maine laws and rules common to property and casualty. Maine laws and rules pertinent to property insurance. Policy provisions and contract law. Types of policies. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under an H03 policy, which dwelling would be eligible for coverage A dwelling coverage? A. A condominium unit owned by the insured. B. A single-family dwelling still under construction. C. A 3-family dwelling where the insured occupies one of the units. D. A row of 3 townhouses each individually owned. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is C. An H03 policy covers 1 to 4 family dwellings under single ownership that are occupied by the insured. Units must be part of the same structure, and the insured must occupy at least 1 unit. Reason A is not correct. Condominium units are covered under a H06 policy rather than the H03 form. Reason B is not correct. A dwelling under construction is not eligible until the structure is complete and occupied by the insured. Reason D is not correct. Individually owned townhouses are separate ownership units, not a single owner-occupied structure. Question 2. Under an H03 policy, the limit for coverage B, other structures, is what percentage of the coverage A dwelling limit? A. 5%, B. 8%, C. 10%, D. 15%. The correct answer is C. Coverage B automatically provides 10% of the coverage A limit for other structures not attached to the main dwelling. Reason A is not correct. 5% is too low and not a standard percentage under the H03 form. Reason B is not correct. 8% is not used in the H03 form's standard other structures calculation. Reason D is not correct. 15% exceeds the default 10% allocation for other structures. Question 3. Under coverage C of an H03 policy, what is the standard special limit for loss of firearms? A. $1,000. B. $1,500. C. $2,500. D. $5,000. The correct answer is C. The H03 form sets a special sublimit of $2,500 for loss or theft of firearms under coverage C. Reason A is not correct. A $1,000 limit is too low and does not match any firearm sublimit on the H03 form. Reason B is not correct. $1,500 is the limit for jewelry and furs, not firearms. Reason D is not correct. $5,000 exceeds the standard $2,500 sublimit for firearms. Question 4. Which event would trigger coverage D, loss of use, under an H03 policy? A. Insured relocates for cosmetic repairs after a windstorm. B. Groundwater intrusion floods the insured's basement. C. A civil authority orders evacuation due to fire damage at a neighboring property. D. Personal property is stolen from the insured premises. The correct answer is C. Coverage D is triggered when a civil authority prohibits access to the insured premises due to damage from an insured peril at a neighboring location. Reason A is not correct. Cosmetic repairs do not qualify as a direct loss that prevents use. Reason B is not correct. Flooding from groundwater is an excluded peril and does not trigger loss of use. Reason D is not correct. Theft does not render the premises uninhabitable and thus does not trigger coverage. Question 5. Alex has an HO4 renter's policy with a $30,000 personal property limit. His bicycle, valued at $2,500, is stolen from a locked storage locker off the premises. How much will the insurer pay for the bicycle under this policy? A. $3,000. B. $30,000. C. $500. D. $2,500. The correct answer is D. The HO4 form provides personal property coverage anywhere up to the coverage C limit, so the full $2,500 value is paid. Reason A is not correct. The 10% off-premises concept applies to HO, 3 coverage B, not HO, 4 personal property. Reason B is not correct. Coverage is limited to the item's value, not the entire policy limit. Reason C is not correct. There is no standard sublimit of $500 for off-premises theft under HO4. Question 6. Linda owns a condominium and carries an HO6 policy with a $40,000 coverage C limit. What is the automatic limit for unit owner improvements and betterments, coverage A, under this policy? A. $40,000. B. $4,000. C. $2,000. D. $8,000. The correct answer is B. The HO6 form provides automatic coverage for improvements and betterments equal to 10% of the coverage C limit, so $4,000 applies. Reason A is not correct. Coverage A is not equal to the entire personal property limit. Reason C is not correct. $2,000 is only 5% of the coverage C limit, not the required 10%. Reason D is not correct. $8,000 represents 20%, exceeding the standard HO6 improvements percentage. Question 7. Nathan insures his 10-year-old roof under an HO8 policy. The replacement cost of the roof is $10,000 and the expected roof life is 20 years. After a storm, how much will the insurer pay under this policy form? A. $10,000. B. $5,000. C. $2,000. D. $7,500. The correct answer is B. HO8 pays actual cash value. The roof has lost 50% of its life, 10 of 20 years. So depreciation is $5,000, which is the payable amount. Reason A is not correct. HO8 does not pay full replacement cost, only actual cash value. Reason C is not correct. $2,000 understates depreciation. The roof has lost half its value. Reason D is not correct. $7,500 overstates the undepreciated value for a 10-year roof. Question 8. Celeste is comparing homeowners' policy forms. She wants dwelling coverage for any direct physical loss not specifically excluded, but at a lower premium than the most comprehensive form. Which policy should she select? A. HO2 named peril form. B. HO3 open peril dwelling form. C. HO6 condominium unit owners form. D. HO8 modified coverage form. The correct answer is B. The HO3 form provides open peril coverage for the dwelling, all perils except exclusions, at a lower premium than the broadest forms. Reason A is not correct. That form covers only named perils, not all perils except exclusions. Reason C is not correct. The HO6 form is for condominium unit owners and covers improvements in personal property. Reason D is not correct. The HO8 form pays actual cash value and is designed for older homes, not for broader coverage. Question 9. Which of the following combinations correctly lists all perils covered under the dwelling property basic form, DP1? A. Lightning, hail and weight of ice, snow, or sleet. B. Fire, windstorm, and vandalism. C. Fire, lightning, and internal explosion. D. Fire, accidental discharge of water, and bursting of pipes. The correct answer is C. The DP1 basic form covers only three perils: fire, lightning, and internal explosion. Other perils such as windstorm, vandalism, hail, and water damage are not included. Reason A is not correct. This option is incorrect because hail and weight of ice, snow, or sleet are not included in the DP1 basic form. They are covered under extended or broad forms. Reason B is not correct. This option is incorrect because windstorm and vandalism are not covered under the DP1 basic form. They require extended coverage or a broader form. Reason D is not correct. This option is incorrect because accidental discharge of water and bursting of pipes are not covered by the DP1 basic form. They are additions in broader forms. Question 10. Which of the following perils is covered by the dwelling property broad form, DP2, but is not covered under the basic form, DP1? A. Fire. B. Internal explosion. C. Lightning. D. Burglary damage to the dwelling. The correct answer is D. The DP2 broad form adds several perils beyond those in DP1, including damage by burglars. Fire, lightning, and internal explosion are included in the DP1 basic form and thus are not unique to DP2. Reason A is not correct. This option is incorrect because fire is one of the fundamental perils covered under the DP1 basic form. Reason B is not correct. This option is incorrect because internal explosion is already covered under the DP1 basic form. Reason C is not correct. This option is incorrect because lightning is one of the three perils in the DP1 basic form. Question 11. A homeowner has a DP3 special form policy on a dwelling. During a heavy winter storm, the roof structure collapses under the weight of accumulated snow. Which loss is covered under the DP3 open perils on the dwelling? A. Structural collapse caused by snow load. B. Gradual deterioration from age and wear. C. Groundwater seepage through foundation walls. D. Faulty initial workmanship in roof construction. The correct answer is A. The DP3 special form provides open peril coverage for the dwelling, including collapse from weight of snow, while exclusions apply to wear and tear, ground seepage, and poor workmanship. Reason B is not correct. Gradual deterioration is specifically excluded under the policy's wear and tear exclusion. Reason C is not correct. Groundwater seepage is an excluded water damage peril under DP3. All legal residents in the household, including foster children, regardless of tax return status. Question 12. A landlord holds a DP3 policy on a rental home. A tenant's personal lawnmower is stolen from inside the dwelling. Under the dwelling form's coverage A versus coverage C provisions, which coverage applies to the stolen lawnmower? A. Coverage C for tenant's personal property. B. Coverage A for insured's building structures. C. Coverage B for other structures on the premises. D. No coverage because the tenant is not the named insured. The correct answer is A. Coverage C in dwelling policies protects personal property within the insured location, including tenant belongings when written into the policy, whereas coverage A and B apply to the structure itself. Reason B is not correct. Coverage A only protects the insured's building and attached structures, not personal property. Reason C is not correct. Coverage B is limited to unattached structures, not items inside the dwelling. Reason D is not correct. Tenant property is covered under coverage C if included, regardless of tenancy status. Question 13. A homeowner rents out a furnished cottage under a DP3 policy. After a covered fire, the tenant cannot occupy the dwelling. When does coverage D fair rental value begin to pay loss of rental income? A. Immediately after the fire causes tenant displacement. B. 72 hours after the fire loss occurs. C. Once repairs exceed the policy deductible amount. D. Only after actual rebuilding is complete. The correct answer is A. Under dwelling forms, fair rental value coverage begins immediately following a covered loss that renders the premises uninhabitable, with no waiting period specified. Reason B is not correct. The dwelling forms impose no waiting period for fair rental value claims. Reason C is not correct. Coverage does not depend on repair costs exceeding the deductible. Reason D is not correct. Payment is not deferred until rebuilding completion. It starts when use is lost. Question 14. Which of the following items is not required to appear in the Common Policy Declaration section of a commercial package policy? A. Named insured and mailing addresses. B. Policy period including effective and expiration dates. C. Description and location of covered property. D. Coinsurance percentage applicable to covered property. The correct answer is D. The coinsurance percentage is part of the building and personal property coverage form declarations, not the common policy declarations which list only broad policy details. Reason A is not correct. The named insured and mailing address must be listed in the common policy declarations as core identifying information. Reason B is not correct. The policy period with effective and expiration dates is a fundamental component of the common policy declarations. Reason C is not correct. A description and location of covered property are required in the common policy declarations. Question 15. Under the causes of loss, broad form for commercial property, which peril is covered that is excluded by the causes of loss? Basic form? A. Smoke damage. B. Falling objects. C. Sinkhole collapse. D. Vandalism and malicious mischief. The correct answer is B. Falling objects is added by the broad causes of loss form and is not covered under the basic form, which lacks that peril. Reason A is not correct. Smoke damage is covered under the basic form, so it is not unique to the broad form. Reason C is not correct. Sinkhole collapse is listed as a covered peril in the basic causes of loss form. Reason D is not correct. Vandalism and malicious mischief are covered under the basic causes of loss form. Question 16. Under the building and personal property coverage form, which of the following is excluded from the definition of covered building? A. Completed additions to the described premises. B. Landscaping such as lawns, trees, and shrubs. C. Machinery permanently installed to service the building. D. Permanently installed fixtures and equipment. The correct answer is B. Landscaping items like lawns, trees, and shrubs are considered land values and are excluded from the defined building property in the BPP form. Reason A is not correct. Completed additions are covered under the building definition in the BPP form. Reason C is not correct. Machinery permanently installed to service the building is included as part of the building. Reason D is not correct. Permanently installed fixtures and equipment are included within the building definition. Question 17. A tenant leases a warehouse space and stores mobile computer carts, floor-mounted metal shelving secured with bolts, and security gates welded at the entrance. Under the commercial property policy's business personal property coverage for tenants, which item qualifies as business personal property? A. Mobile computer carts used for file transport. B. Security gates welded to the entrance frame. C. Floor-mounted metal shelving bolted to the concrete. D. Concrete loading dock built into the structure. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is mobile computer carts because business personal property includes movable equipment not permanently attached to the building structure. Reason B is not correct. Welded security gates are permanent fixtures and are classified as building property, not business personal property. Reason C is not correct. Shelving secured by bolts to the floor is considered part of the building rather than business personal property. Reason D is not correct. A concrete dock built into the structure is a permanent part of the building and not covered as business personal property. Question 18. A business has a $500,000 limit on buildings and personal property under its commercial property policy. A windstorm destroys a 12-foot outdoor sign and damages a perimeter fence. Under the special property coverage form, what is the maximum amount payable for the sign and the fence, respectively? A. $2,500 for the sign and $1,000 for the fence. B. $1,000 for the sign and $2,500 for the fence. C. $5,000 for each structure. D. A combined limit of $3,000 for both. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is $2,500 for the sign and $1,000 for the fence, since outdoor signs are limited to $2,500 per sign, and fences are limited to $1,000 under that coverage extension. Reason B is not correct. The sign limit is higher than the fence limit. Reversing them is incorrect. Reason C is not correct. No provision in the form increases both sign and fence coverage to $5,000 each. Reason D is not correct. The policy does not provide a combined limit of $3,000 for sign and fence damage. Question 19. A factory suffers fire damage to machinery on April 10th, causing operations to halt immediately. Partial production resumes on April 12th, though full capacity isn't restored until April 20th. Under the business income coverage form of the CPP, on which date does the business income loss period begin? A. April 10th. B. April 12th. C. 3 days after April 10th. D. April 15th. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is April 10th, because business income coverage begins at the time direct physical loss occurs and operations are suspended, regardless of the waiting period selected. Reason B is not correct. Coverage does not wait until partial resumption. It begins when operations first suspend. Reason C is not correct. Unless a waiting period endorsement applies, there is no automatic 3-day delay under the CPP form. Reason D is not correct. No provision ties the start of coverage to an arbitrary mid-restoration date like April 15th. Question 20. A retailer incurs fire damage and incurs costs to rent portable generators, loses net profit on reduced sales, and pays state license fees during restoration. Which expense is covered only as extra expense and not under business income? A. Rental costs for portable generators to maintain operations. B. State licensing fees during downtime. C. Net profit loss due to reduced sales. D. Lost sales commission payments. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is the rental cost for portable generators because extra expense covers costs incurred to continue operations that are not part of net income, whereas business income covers net profit and continuing fixed expenses. Reason B is not correct. License fees are continuing operating expenses included in net income calculations. Reason C is not correct. Net profit lost is a business income item, not extra expense. Reason D is not correct. Sales commissions are part of net profit loss and covered under business income. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.